Learn how to build a fully functional Google Drive clone with Laravel and Vue.js. You'll learn how to implement functionalities such as uploading files, sharing files, searching for files, and more. And at the end, you will learn how to deploy to a custom domain on a production-ready environment. Zura, the Codaholic, developed this course. He has over 11 years of experience as a developer and has created many popular courses.
Hello everyone! In this video we're going to build fully functional file manager type of application with Laravel and Inertia with Vue.js. The application will be very similar to Google Drive. We're going to implement some basic functionalities such as creating unlimited depth folders, uploading files and uploading folders, searching for the files or folders. But we're going to also implement some advanced functionalities such as sharing files and folders to another users in this application by email. We're going to implement fully functional trash system. You can easily move your files into trash and recover them later or delete them permanently. We're going to also implement favorite files page. You can add your desired files into start section and then you can easily find them in the future. At the end of the video, we're going to deploy our project in production ready environment with a custom domain. And we're going to also connect to AWS S3 bucket and implement uploading files into AWS S3 bucket. I'm going to show you how you can set up your AWS account, how you can create a role and policy, how you can get your access token and key and configure your Laravel application to use the access token and key for uploading files. I have been working on this project for more than 3 months. You can check the entire source code on my GitHub and you can even find that the initial commit is made more than 3 months ago. If you find this video helpful, please give it a like. Who am I? My name is Zura. Last 11 plus years, I have been working as a professional web developer and have built dozens of projects around PHP and Laravel. If you're interested in more Laravel, PHP and JavaScript related content, you can check my YouTube channel, The Codaholic, or my website, thecodaholic.com, where you can find some premium courses such as building an e-commerce website with Laravel, Vue.js and Talon CSS. Before we jump, I would like to say big thanks to FreeCodeCamp for doing such an amazing job and providing free educational content for everyone. Alright, no further ado, let's start building our project. Before we start building the project, let's have a look at the quick demo. The entire application is running with a Laravel sail for local development environment. So we have this email sending service. So whenever you open the website, you see login and register buttons right there. As soon as you register, you will receive an email in this email sending service, MailPit. Whenever you confirm your email, then you can log in or you already will be logged in. I'm going to click login, and when you log in, you will see the following screen. On the left side, we see different types of pages, my files, shared with me, shared by me, or trash. And this is the main area where we see all the files which are in that specific folder, in this case, my files. And we have infinite scroll implemented right here. So if I start scrolling down below, more files and more content is simply loaded. We have possibility to search our files or folders through this main search area. We also have possibility to search only files which I have added in my favorite section. At the moment, I don't have anything, but if I add 2 files in the favorite section, I can click on this. I see only those 2 files. And we have possibility to download files as well. If you select multiple files, let's select this, and when you click download, it's going to create a zip out of these multiple files and just download that. If you select only one file and click on download, it's going to start downloading this only file. Okay, obviously we have possibility to delete selected files, and I'm gonna right now delete these 2 files. Okay, selected files have been deleted, and we can see those files under trash. As you see right here, we have possibility to select everything in the trash and click delete forever, or we can click restore, which will obviously restore the just deleted files. If you go in the my file section, we have also possibility to create new folder and upload files and upload folder. Okay, I'm going to upload a single folder right now. Let's upload this e-commerce products, upload. okay, and 6 files have been uploaded. So whenever you upload file or folder, there's a background process running at the very same time. Okay, so we immediately see the feedback that the file and the folder was successfully uploaded, but the background job starts working, which uploads those files into AWS S3. Okay, so we save all files into AWS S3, and so that we don't want the upload process first from the browser to the server and from the server to the AWS S3, it will take much more time. So we immediately show the user, hey, we took your file and it has been uploaded. And then simply in the background, we upload that on AWS S3. Okay, so we have a possibility to obviously share the files and folders to another user. So when you click on share, you have to enter the email address of another user in the same system. And as soon as you do this and click on submit, the folder will be shared, and then the user will be able to see that under shared with me section. And you will be able to see this under shared by me section, because that's going to be the file you shared. Let me try to share this to a user. If I remember correctly, I have this in the system, mary@example.com. I'm going to click on submit. Selected files will be shared to mary@example.com if the email exists in the system. So if the email doesn't exist, obviously it will not be shared. Okay, that's the main thing, but we don't get the error if the email doesn't exist. If I go in the shared by me, I don't see that, probably because the email does not exist in the system, but believe me, this is the functionality that exists. Okay, so here I just registered with another user, Mary, and I got the email in the mail pit, and I'm going to click this verify email address, and I am authorized now in my incognito browser with user Mary. Okay, so I can just collapse this and now try to share these screenshots to mary@example.com. I'm going to click on submit. Okay, I get the same notification, and if I go in the shared by me, now I see that screenshots actually is shared by me to someone else. And if I check this incognito browser, I just reload the page. Under shared with me section, I see screenshots, and I can just click on the screenshots and just download it if I want, or actually I don't have any other actions except that download. So if something was shared to me, I can easily download that. And when you share file or folder to Mary, Mary actually gets an email that files, hello Mary, user Zura shared the following files to you. Obviously the template doesn't look very nice, but the main thing is that the functionality is there, and we send the email when the file or folder is shared to Mary. The functionality is basically that, but believe me, there are many things to learn while building this application. Now, let's start working on the project, and the very first thing is to install a Laravel project. I'm going to open the Laravel documentation and go to the installation section, and I'm going to click Getting Started on Windows. This particular approach basically requires Docker and WSL2. Make sure you have Docker and WSL2 installed on your operating system, Windows in this case. If you are on Linux or Mac, you don't need WSL2, you just need Docker. Now, if you scroll down below, we have the following command, curl. You need curl command also in your terminal. I'm going to open now my Ubuntu, which I actually have inside my Windows operating system. And right here, I'm going to copy and paste. However, generally, I put all my projects under www folder inside my Ubuntu operating system. So I'm going to paste this command right here, and I'm going to only change the application name. In this case, the example app is not good for me. I'm going to call this file-manager. So I'm going to hit enter. That's going to take some time. It's going to first download the Laravel project, then run all its dependencies. Then it's going to spin up the Docker images. So download those images and start the containers as well. If you're running this very first time in your terminal, if you're running this project very first time using Docker in your terminal, it's going to take some time. After waiting for a couple of minutes, here it asks me my Ubuntu operating system sudo root password. I'm going to provide the password. And here it goes. So it actually downloaded the project and then downloaded all the Docker images, and then we have the project actually set up and ready. We just need to go inside file manager folder, which we just named, and then from inside I'm going to execute vendor bean sail up. If you're new to Docker, there's no need to learn like basics or anything about Docker. We just need to start the application using Docker and stop it whenever we don't need. And we're going to also go inside the containers and run artisan commands from inside the container. Okay, I can execute this vendor bean sail up, but I'm going to actually open the project right now in PhpStorm and continue from there. First, I need to open the file explorer, so I'm going to just type explorer.exe and specify the dot as a current directory. Then it opens the following directory. This is the file manager, which we're going to open. I'm going to right click on this file manager and open folder as PhpStorm project. It's going to take a few seconds until this is opened. It will ask you if you want to trust this folder. I'm going to trust the project. And here it is opening. All right, now let's open terminal. And from the terminal of PhpStorm, I'm going to execute the command to start the project and also go inside the container. If you are not using PhpStorm and you're using like a VS Code, for example, it's going to be pretty straightforward. VS Code obviously has its integrated terminal and you can execute the commands from there. All right, just make sure from the VS Code you switch to WSL terminal because any command needs to be executed from inside the Ubuntu. Right now, I am inside the Ubuntu operating system, and the terminal basically supports any command that Ubuntu operating system terminal supports. All right, now let's execute vendor bean sail up. And I'm going to specify also -d to start the processes and spin up all the containers in a detached mode. Let's hit the enter. It's going to take a few seconds if you're running this very first time. All right, the containers are created and they are starting. And they are started. Now, we need to go inside the container. There are a couple of containers. I'm going to just type docker ps and hit the enter. We have the following containers. We have the main container, which is for the application. We have some Selenium for testing. We have this mail research container, MySQL, obviously. We have also Redis, and we have this mail pit, which is for fake mail sending. We need to go inside the app container and execute any commands from there. So I'm going to type vendor bean sail bash. Now I am inside the main container, and from here I can execute any artisan commands like php artisan -- help. And as we see, artisan is available and it's right there. And anytime you want to execute your artisan command, you should do it from here. Now let's run npm run dev, and let's also open browser. By default, we need to check this on localhost because we just started the project and it's on localhost. When we run npm run dev, we don't see anything because we haven't run npm install. But the application is right there. Let me zoom out slightly, and this is the Laravel welcome page. And now let's execute npm install. Okay, npm install was completed, and now we are going to install Laravel Breeze. To install Laravel Breeze, let's open the documentation of Laravel Breeze. And if we scroll down below, we're going to find the installation instructions. First, we need to require it as a dev dependency in the project. So I'm going to copy this command and paste it right here. Until this is installed, let's have a look what we need to do. We need to execute breeze install command to install all the necessary like files and assets. Then we're going to execute artisan migrate and npm install and npm run dev. All right, let's follow it step by step, and I'm going to copy this PHP Artisan Breeze install. Breeze was actually already installed using Composer. Now let's execute PHP Artisan Breeze install. Here it goes. It asks which stack we want to install. And in this case, we are going to use Vue.js. So I'm going to choose number 2 right here. Would you like to install dark mode support? I'm going to type no in this case. Would you like TypeScript support? No in this case as well. Would you like to install inertia, server-side rendering? No in this case as well. And no here as well. All right, now it's installing all the necessary packages like inertia and every package that is dependency of the inertia actually. And it's also automatically running npm install and npm run dev. So whenever this command finishes working, we will have Vue.js inertia configured and working in our application. npm run dev will be also running there. Actually, npm run build was run and we have those build files, but if we want to start the development mode, we need to execute npm run dev. Let's check this first in the browser. So if we reload the page, on the right side we see login and register. If we click on register or login on anything else, we see that the URL changes, but the full reload doesn't happen because that everything happens through Vue.js right now. All right, now we have this in a build mode, but because we're gonna actively work and modify layout, we need development mode. So npm run dev, hit the enter. All right, here we have that up and running. Now if I reload the page, something is broken. That is kind of issue when you run your npm run dev command with Docker. So it doesn't see basically the following address. So in this case, we're going to open void config file right here. And maybe before plugins, we need to add server HMR host to be a local host. Okay, so we configure that the hot module replacement host is a local host. We save this and I believe it's going to be automatically reloaded. If I just reload the page, I see login page. And now our development server is up and running. We can go on the home page and register and it's there, it's good. Now, we need to execute migrate command PHP Artisan migrate to run all the necessary migrations. So I'm going to stop the void server and execute PHP Artisan migrate. Okay, so the migrations have been applied. However, I'm going to make a small change. In the .env example, we see that the DB connection is MySQL and the host is 127.0.0.1. In the .env file, which was automatically created by the command curl command, we have the DB host to be MySQL. So that happens because we are running the application from inside the Docker container, and the other service to communicate as a database is called MySQL. So we just need to change. It's going to be good to just change this into MySQL, because if you are going to install this project at a later stage and copy .env example into .env, you need to have MySQL right there as well. Okay, just small thing, but it's just good to make a change. Now, because we already have Breeze installed, we can actually already register on the website, and the only thing I'm going to add is email verification. At the moment, the registration doesn't require email verification. As soon as the user is registered, she will be able to log in immediately. But I'm going to open user.php. That's the model, app models user.php, and I'm going to implement an interface called must verify email. All right, and I save this, and right here in this console we see errors. That happens because the void server is not running, so we need to execute npm run dev command, and now we just reload the page and we don't see any errors. And let's now try to register. I'm going to type my name, email, some password, and hit the enter. All right, now we see right here the following message. Thanks for signing up. Before getting started, could you please verify your email address? How to check where the email is received? By default, because we are running, and that's the beauty of the Docker, and that's why I love to setting up my projects through Docker. We have a couple of services, and we can see the services under a Docker Compose YML. So this is the main application, Laravel test. We have the MySQL server service, and this is exact same name what we have inside .env to connect. So if these would be called like a test, we would write test right here as well. Okay, I hope this makes sense. All right, and we have Redis as well, which you don't care at this moment. We have mail search. We have Mailpit, and this Mailpit is exactly the fake mail client, so called it, so that we can check all sent mails right here in this Mailpit. And in the .en file as well, if we scroll down below, we see this mailer is SMTP, host is Mailpit, port is 1025, and so on. So the rest of the things are not actually necessary. Okay, here we have two main ports exposed. 1025, this is just for email sending, and 8025, this is the client where we can check all the received emails. Now in the browser, I'm going to type localhost port 8025, and we see our nice looking mail client for fake email sending. As you can see, right here, the receiver is zura@example.com. So basically, zura@example.com received the following email. And when we click on this button, our account is activated, and now I am logged in. And I can reload this page, and I'm logged in right here as well, so I can close this. And from now on, I will have this mail client open, so whenever I register or password reset, I can immediately see received emails right here. I'm going to have this application right here, and always documentation open, because I will be constantly checking things in the documentation. Before we start generating modules and migrations, let's talk about the schema. Right here, we're going to have three of the most important tables: files, file shares, and starred files. Obviously, the schema can increase and you can add much more features, but for the basic functionality like creating files and sharing and making as a favorite files, this will be enough. And let's start with the most important one, files. Right there we have the name and path. We have left, right, and parent ID. Left, right, and parent ID is necessary for having a nested data. We're going to talk more about this left, right, and parent ID in just a few minutes. Okay, we have is folder as well. We have this is folder identifies whether the current file is a folder or just a file. We have MIME type, we have size, created at, updated at, created by, updated by, very obvious. We have also deleted at and deleted by. We're going to also keep track. We're going to have soft delete, so that the file, if it is deleted or folder, we're going to still keep that in the database. So the file shares right here indicates that this particular file was shared to that particular user. We might also add in the future like a permission, whether the file was shared through read permission only or read and write. Just the table is right there, and we can add a few more columns if we need that. And we have start files, that this particular file was started by that user. All right, and we have also the time when that happened. So that's just basic. Now let's talk about this left and right and parent ID. I'm going to open now browser and type nested set model. So that's a very common data structure mechanism to save a hierarchical data. Let's click on the very first link from the Wikipedia, and let me open the following image. All right, let's open this on a full screen. So nested set model, the idea is the following, that the parent, every record in this nested set model has left and right. And the parent element in this hierarchical data, the left coordinate of this parent element is always less than any of its children left. And the right of the parent is always more than, greater than any of its children right. So in this case, let's imagine that we have this clothing category, and inside there we have a men's category and women's category. And inside men's category we have suits, and inside women's we have dresses. And inside men's suits we have slacks and jackets, and inside women's dresses we have everything. And so you get the idea. And now this clothing has left 1 and right 22. Men's category has left 2 and right 9. Women has left 10 and right 21. So that gives you not only like a structure to save hierarchical data, but it gives you also proper ordering. Like you can order this by left coordinate and you can simply get in a proper order. For example, we want the men's to be always before women's in this whatever like list of the subcategories. So if the men's has like 2 here, then it is before women's. However, if we change this from like a 2 would be here, and instead of 21 this would be 9, then the women's will be in front of. So we have this numbering from 1 to whatever is the largest, 22 in this case. And just like this, we're going to save our files. We're going to have the parent directory, which will have left and right coordinates, and any of its children files or folders will have similar left and rights like men's and women's. And in the same way, we're going to have deep nested of the file system. And why is that good? Why we simply cannot have a parent ID and that's it? Why do we need left and right? So if you observe this, you can easily identify which subcategories or subcategories or any nested level of categories in this image can be easily identified from a parent category. Let's say I want to understand and find out the number of files in our example. Let's go in our example. Let's say I want to identify how many files I have in my specific folder, but not only how many files directly inside the folder, but also in a deep nested level of the main folder, target folder in which I'm interested. So this is a little bit tricky to achieve with only parent ID, right? Because parent ID only gives you access to the parent, but it doesn't give you access to its parents, parent or grandfather or grandparent or whatever, right? And in the same way, you can always identify using parent ID which are your direct children, but you cannot identify which are your grandchildren or grandchildren. But if we have left and right, we can easily do this. So in this case, if I want to select how many categories I have inside clothing, I would select all the records which has left greater than the clothing's left and which has a right less than clothing's right. And that would give me totally whatever 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 subcategories inside clothing, no matter how deeply nested is that. Okay, I hope this makes sense. So now if we check in the database, we have this left and right, which exactly identifies what we want. And now we can open PHP Storm and start generating migrations. I'm going to stop the server and let's create now 3 main tables. PHP artisan make model file, and let's specify -m for migration. We're going to create a file share. I hope that's the correct name. File share. Let's hit the M and start file. That's it. All right. We hit the enter. Obviously on this schema we also have users, but that's pretty obvious. We have this user table available already right there. And one additional thing to this user table is the storage size. So that's kind of storage limit. What is the limit for that specific user? And by having these, by the way, as a nested set model, we can easily also understand what is the total size of the files for this specific user. If we have size in the database, we can just sum up all the sizes of those records which has left greater than specific folder. All right, so we have created 3 models and 3 migrations. Now let's go into database migrations, and let's open this create files table. I will try to speed up the process a little bit. So I'm gonna copy and paste the table records right here and simply go through and explain. We have ID obvious, we have string name 1024, we have path 1024, which is nullable. We have nested sets. So that method is available if we install the proper nested set package, which we have not installed yet. But I'm going to write the migration and then we can install that package. We have this boolean is folder, we have this MIME type which can be nullable, we have the size nullable, we have the timestamp such as created at and updated at. We have foreign IDs for the created by and foreign IDs for updated by. And we also have soft deletes. All right, so this is the files. Now let's open second migration, and that's file shares. Here we will add 2 more columns, file ID, which is a nullable, and it is constrained by files, and we have also user ID, which is constrained by users. Actually, those 2 columns should be required. Whenever we are sharing something, we need to share what file is shared to which user. So let me actually remove this. So they are actually required. Perfect. And let's now open the third migration file, which is start files. And we add 2 columns right here, foreign ID, file ID, which is constrained by files, and user ID, which is constrained by users. It's pretty similar to file shares. So we have those migrations ready, and these down methods are also implemented properly. So let's bring up the terminal and execute php artisan migrate. Okay, this will throw an error because we have not installed this nested set model package. So let's open the browser and I'm going to search for, let me actually close this. Let's search for nested set model. And let's actually search for Laravel nested sets. There are a couple of packages on Laravel for nested sets. Some of them are not free, but we're going to choose the one which has proper license to use for free. Okay, here we have a couple of options. This Cartalist nested set is not actually free. And let's check this lazy chaser. I believe this is the one what's good for you, good for us. It's free and we can easily use that. So let's go in the installation instructions and we need to execute composer require. Whenever we execute that and the package is installed, then we can already use nested set function inside migration. And if we want to drop that, we can execute drop nested sets as well. All right. Now, let's execute composer require calnoi nested sets. Let's hit the enter. Okay, that was downloaded and already installed. Now let's execute php artisan migrate. Let's hit the enter. All right, so those 3 migrations have been successfully applied. Now, I'm going to connect to the database through PHP Storm's database client from here. If you are not using PHP Storm, you can use any client, any MySQL client like MySQL Workbench, or there are some extensions in VS Code as well to connect to MySQL. So I need to constantly check the status for the database. So I'm going to choose, where's MySQL? Here it is. We have to provide host to be localhost, port 3306. The user is actually Sale, and the password is lowercase, all lowercase password. Let's click test connection right here, and we have successfully connected. Let's go under schemas, and let's actually click OK first, and then click settings and schemas, and I'm going to choose this file manager default schema. Now I'm going to expand the file manager, and we have the following tables right here: files, file shares, start files, and everything else that was already right there. So we have actually successfully created modules and migrations. Now let's have a look at the project. And because we are using inertia, there will be some changes different from what you have seen previously when you have built Laravel project. Let's focus on the resources folder, because right here is the key differences between Laravel and just inertia with Laravel. Inside resources, we have views normally, which are blade files, but this is something we don't need in this particular project. We need JS folder, and inside there, we have this main app.js, which is responsible for initialization of this inertia application as well as the Vue.js application. So it imports this create inertia app, then calls that. Inside there, it configures the title and some how to resolve the components. And inside setup, it just creates a Vue.js component, the main component using create app, which is imported from Vue. So this is the main file, main JavaScript file. And we also have pages. Each page is associated to a route. In this case, we have the dashboard and welcome, we have profile page as well. And inside our folder, we have this login, register, sign up, password reset, and so on. Inside layout, we have two main component files. One is the authenticated layout, and second is the guest layout. You probably guessed those are for guest user and for authenticated users. And inside components, we have many components comes out of the box. When you install this inertia, we have the logo and checkbox and danger button and dropdown and modal and so on. Like we are developing, we will create new components or modify these components, or if we don't need at the end of the project, we can obviously delete those components as well. All right, now let's start working on the layout. This is the main thing what I'm going to do. I'm going to open this authenticated layout, and let's first check, by the way, the pages and dashboard. So the dashboard is what is rendered right now when you log in. And if I just remove everything from this template, we will see simply an empty page. By the way, we have automatically reloading. So whenever you change something, it's going to be affected in the browser. But there are two components inside the dashboard. One is head, which is the native inertia head component. And by the way, let's open inertia documentation as well, inertia.js. All right, and we can explore. I'm going to have this documentation open as well because probably I won't remember everything by heart. And if we observe this under the title and meta section, we will find this head component. This is the main head component, which will be converted into an HTML head tag. Okay, and if we provide title right here as a prop, it will be simply a title tag of this HTML document head component. We can have it in a different way as well and provide some meta tags if we want. However, I'm going to simply, we can remove these. We are not building something which needs to be very SEO friendly. So we are building an application, a file manager application. We don't care SEO in this particular type of application. So we can leave this head, we can remove, it really doesn't matter. I'm going to remove it. And inside authenticated layout, this is where I'm going to work. Here we also have this a slot for header, which is outputted right. Let's actually save this, which is outputted right here. And then we have this main you're logged in card. All right, so I'm going to remove this and let's have a look in the authenticated layout. This is what I'm going to adjust. Actually, I'm going to get everything and create new Scratch file, Vue.js Scratch file, and paste everything here. And I'm going to build this layout from scratch, but I will use certain components from here and extract into a new components probably, which finally will be used right here. So basically I'm going to split this file into multiple small components, modify the layout, and finally we will have our own new authenticated layout. All right, so we're going to start with the main div. I'm going to create, and let's give it, I'm going to give it full height, let's give it H screen. I'm going to give it also BG gray 50. Let's give it flex and W full, and let's give it gap 4. Okay, so this is the main div. I want to have like a left side navigation, and on the right side we're going to have the main content for the section. So I plan to create a separate component for the left side navigation, which I will try to use right now. So navigation like this, and I can already go ahead and under components I can create new navigation component. It's going to be Vue.js component. By the way, I have configured my Vue.js template. Whenever I create new Vue.js view file, it will write the following comments for me. So this is how I'm going to structure my code inside the script tag. All right, so let's write just div at the moment and navigation. All right, and let's close it. We have this main navigation, which I want to import. So I'm just going to simply delete the last letter and hit Ctrl and space in my PHP store, and it will autocomplete that for me and put that navigation under the script tag. And by the way, I also have like my own coding style, so that I prefer to have templates at the top and scripts at the bottom. Okay, so I can remove those imports just like this. I can remove these as well. Don't care at the moment. While I will be just typing, I will be importing them as far as I need. So now I have navigation, and I'm going to define main. This main will have a display flex. Let's give it also flex column. I'm going to give it flex 1. Let's give it padding horizontal 4 and some overflow hidden. All right, so that's going to be the main section. Inside there, we will have a couple of div components. Because we have this flex column, we're going to have the top section for the search and below section for the actually displaying the table. So I'm going to create one div for the top section. Let's give it flex and items center. I'm going to give it also justify between and W full. That's going to be for the search form and some user drop down. And I'm going to I will assume that I already have search form, or I can actually create just like I did for the navigation. So I'm going to go under components, and I'm going to actually create right here a component called search form.view. And I'm going to create, let's actually use, first of all, search form just like this. And the second component I plan to create is the user settings dropdown. So I'm going to call this exactly like this, user settings dropdown. Let's create this component as well. User settings dropdown. Perfect. Let's create div user settings. Let's save this. So they are used inside this authenticated layout, so we need to import them. However, we have these components, and I don't want this components folder to become very giant with hundreds of files. So we have here like a very small, tiny atomic components like a modal and this nav link and primary button, which can be used across not only this particular application, but the other applications as well. Okay, so that I can easily copy the modal component if I want into another application. So I just want to create some kind of structure of my Vue.js components. So I'm going to create new folder called app and put my components, which will be specific to my application, like a navigation, search form, and user settings dropdown. So I understand that this is a kind of subjective thing. It's not a standard you can apply. It's just my preferred choice of structuring my components. I know that I can search those inside app, and other very like core components will be inside the components directly. Okay. In the future, I'm going to create some components inside app and some components inside components, depending on how I'm going to use them. All right, we just have to modify these import paths. So because they were moved under app, I will just add app right here. So now we have this navigation and search form and user settings. So I'm going to save this and let's have a look. So we have this navigation on the left side, we have this search form, and we have this user settings. Now let's create inside main, let's create another div, which will be for the main content. Let's give it class flex1, flex, and flex column, and overflow hidden as well. I want basically to disable scroll on every element except that the files table itself. Only files table is something which needs to be scrollable in my opinion. So I'm going to create a slot right here, and let's call it the left side. So let's save it. And if we check right now dashboard, and if we just undo what we had previously, now we see our layout and the component comes right here. Okay, now let's start working on the navigation. Let's open navigation.view and let's delete this. I'm going to change this from div into nav, and let's give it also min width to be like 200 pixel. Not 100, but 200 pixel. Okay, inside there, I'm going to create one div element, and I'm going to give this 80 pixel. This will be container for me for the logo. So 80 pixel needs to be inside square brackets. We need some horizontal padding. Let's give it flex and items center, and let's give it gap of 3. All right, inside there, I'm going to use now inertia's link component. If you don't know how to use that, no problem. Let's go in the documentation and you can find a link right here under links section. The documentation is not overwhelming. It's very simple. There are not that many links to get lost. So you can easily figure out what you're looking for. This is the link component we can use, and it needs to be imported from inertia.js /Vue 3 in our case. If you're using a different framework, obviously it needs to be imported into from a different package. Okay, so I'm going to use now this link component uppercase L like this. Okay, and I'm going to provide right here colon href to be a root. And this root will be the main root, what we are going to have, what we're going to define. Well, at the moment, I'm going to leave this as just a slash because we have not defined any kind of roots in our application. All right, now I'm going to use application logo, which is something that was previously in authenticated layout, and we moved this entire authenticated layout into Scratch file so we can have a look. Here's the application logo. So I'm going to get this and put in our navigation. Let's move this navigation on the left side. So I'm going to paste this right here, and I'm going to simply import this application logo component, which was imported right here. But I'm going to move this above under imports section. Okay, perfect. So we have this logo defined, the classes, let's leave them and have a look. And let's give it a name or some name to our application. I'm going to call this laravel. storage. Okay. Why is this closing link not highlighted into red? Let's just type link. Yeah, strange. It's not highlighted into red by PHP but I'm going to leave this as it is. Okay, now this is the like a header section of the navigation for the logo. We're going to have another div, obviously, where the main menu items will be. Let's give it some horizontal padding. And I'm going to have like a drop down to create new content in our application. And the drop down will have options to create new folder or upload new file or upload new folder or something else if we decide to add in the future. Okay, so I'm going to create this new component under app. That's going to be, let's call it create new dropdown. Okay, again, I'm just going to give it a create new text at the moment. Let's close this and let's use create new dropdown that was automatically imported. If something is not automatically imported and if you see some kind of error, if I delete this import, for example, you will see error right here, or simply let's open developer tools. Always have your developer tools opened and you will see these warnings right here, like link. If this is a native custom element, the link was not actually imported. That is the one problem. And second problem is this fail to resolve component create new dropdown. Okay, so this is something we need to take here. If we go in the right here and we need to import a link from inertia.js/view3. Now we have this link and the color was highlighted as well. And let's import this dropdown as well. Perfect. Now we have this create new, which in the future will be converted into a dropdown. All right, and down below we're going to have another div with actual menu items. Let's give it some vertical padding, and inside there I'm going to use nav links. So we actually have this nav link component available, which was used previously in the header. So I'm going to modify this nav link component, but first let me use it right here, nav link. Okay, we are going to have few menu items like my files, and let's duplicate these few times. We're going to have files shared with me. We're going to have files shared by me. And we're going to have trash. Maybe we're going to also add start files in the future. Okay, we need to define roles for each of them, but because we don't have roles at the moment, I'm going to leave all of them into slash. And we're going to also make these files active depending on which is clicked, but let's leave them at the moment as they are. And I'm going to open this nav link and modify this a little bit. Before we modify, let's see how that looks like. Okay, so this is how it looks like. And that is probably because it has inline flex. And I'm going to change this into just flex. Okay, we need to adjust a few other things. This is flex, side navigation. Okay. If props active flex, yeah, here we need to also change it into flex. Okay, that's good. Let's go back. It has border bottom, so I'm going to remove this border bottom. No need for that. Let's increase this padding. I'm going to set this into 5. Let's give it also vertical padding. Padding white 2. Let's save it. Okay, not bad. Let's give it also some text color and hover color as well. I'm going to also change this text color from 500 if the link is not active, from text gray 500 into 700. And if it is active, let's give it also different text color, like we have text gray 900. I'm going to change this into text indigo 700, and maybe let's give it also BG indigo 100. Okay, let's have a look. Now none of them is active, so that's fine. However, if we go in the navigation and I'm going to give this one, for example, active true, this is how it looks like. Let's inspect it. Okay, it has a different padding at the top. Padding top 1. Okay, let's remove it. And that's good. And let's also give it rounded LG. Okay, that's fine by me, at least for now. So let's test on the second one to be active. Obviously, we are not going to have two menu items active at the same time, but just to have a look how active looks like, I think this is pretty good. So we have created this. Now let me remove the active as well and go inside this authenticated layout. So I think we finished working on the navigation. At the moment, we don't have these rules defined, so we can leave that. Let's go in the authenticated layout. And we have this search form. Okay, I'm going to work inside the search form right now. Inside there, I'm going to create a form. Let's give it W600 pixel. Let's give it a height of 80 pixel, like we have on the logo. Let's give it also flex and items center. And inside there, I'm going to use text input. The text input is a core component which comes with the inertia. So I'm going to use text input component here. Let's give it type text. And let's give it also class block and W full. I'm going to stretch this on full width. And let's give it margin right 2, and this modal value is something I'm going to remove. Instead, I'm going to give it a vmodal form.search. I'm going to define this below as well, and let's give it autocomplete as well. Autocomplete. I think this component might not exist in the text input, but we're going to add that, and I'm going to give it also placeholder, which will be search for files and folders. Okay, I'm gonna move now these properties on a new line like this, and let's have a look inside text input. Define probes, it only accepts modal value, so we're gonna pass a couple of components, a couple of props probably from here. Okay, so those are autocomplete placeholder. They will be automatically given because inside the template, we have the only component we have is the input. And because we're passing those props to the component text input, they will be just delegated to the input. Let's actually move this above script. Okay, so those will be given automatically. Let's define this form. Inside uses, I'm going to create form equals use form. That needs to be imported from inertia, and we are going to provide search. The only property will be search as an empty string at the moment. And this text input component needs to be imported. Let's move this right here. Okay, just like this. Let's have a look. Here's the search input. That looks pretty nice. And on the right side, we are going to define the user settings. Let's open user settings dropdown, and let's open this Scratch file. And right here, we probably have this user settings. Here's the settings dropdown, and it is using the dropdown and template and everything what it needs. However, instead of the dropdown, which comes with inertia, I am going to create a new. I'm going to install headless UI and use its own dropdown. Let's search for headless UI, and it has a couple of JavaScript components, but the main idea of this headless UI is that it provides only functionality unstyled, and we can style it according to our needs.